Have you ever had a hard time getting your students' attention? This can be very challenging. And this is why every lesson starts with an attention-getting activity. Let's take a look. Here in our lesson in 3rd Nephi, it starts with some questions we can ask our students about times when they felt prepared or unprepared. This may be a perfect fit for your class, but if you feel your students could benefit from a more engaging activity, I have a great strategy to share with you. Do you remember in Helaman 5 when we talked about Nephi and Lehi? They were imprisoned, and all the Lamanites who came to kill them were surrounded by a cloud of darkness. There was a man among them whose name was Aminadab, and he used a visual to teach the people. He asked the people to turn and look through the darkness at Nephi and Lehi, and as they looked at the visual, they began to ask questions, signifying a desire to learn. Let's look at a few of their questions. Behold, what do all these things mean? And who is it with whom these men do converse? And later, they ask even more questions. It can be very engaging to ask questions about a visual, and it can help prepare students to learn because they have a desire to discover the answers. Now let's go back to the lesson manual. At the beginning, there's an image or a visual by Minerva Teichert. You can just click on it and open it in a new window and use it like this, or you can use another more complete version of this image that can be found in an online resource that's called Book of Mormon Art Catalog. This great online resource can help you to find artwork and images for almost every story. And you can use the filters to find a specific image that you're looking for. So I found the image that was listed in the manual, and this one is a more complete version. I downloaded this and then put it in a slide so that I could easily use it in class with my students. Now, the strategy I want to talk with you about for using visuals in your classroom is called See, Wonder, Connect. And you go through each of these steps systematically. First, you ask your students, what do you see in this image? Or what do you notice? They might call out certain objects like a wagon or a tower or the wall, or animals or people. They might talk about colors or texture. After you've taken several responses, go to the next step, which is wonder. And you ask the students, what do you wonder about, or what questions come to mind when you look at this image? And you might get responses like, what's in those bags? Why are they on top of the wall? What's that tower for? What time period is this taking place in, or what country? Your job is not to answer those questions, just to help the students to think deeply about it so that they can continue to ask more questions. And the final step is connect. And this is where they can share something that they've experienced, read about, learned about that connects to this picture in some way. Once you've spent a couple of minutes on this, you might spend 3 to 5 minutes on this particular part of the activity. You don't want to spend a lot of time, but you do want to encourage a lot of good questions. At this point, I would go back to the lesson manual, and I may not do this every time with every visual, but for this one in particular, it has such an intriguing title that I would call this to the attention of my students. The Answer of Laconius. Who was Laconius? What is this an answer to? Now your students are ready to discover some of the answers to their questions. And at this point, you would pick up in the lesson after the introductory activity. If you would like to use this activity in your lesson this week, I have shared in the description a link to the slide that has the image. In the notes to that slide, I've put a link to the Book of Mormon Art Catalog, and I've also put a link to an interview with the curator of Book of Mormon Art Catalog. That interview is found on Fulmer Gems, the YouTube channel Fulmer Gems, and you scroll down to Welcome to the Studio, and here's that interview. So just to summarize, today we talked about an online resource called Book of Mormon Art Catalog, where you can find visuals and images to use with your students in your classes. We talked about a strategy for using those visuals: see, wonder, connect, and also the importance of using visuals as an engaging way to get your students involved in the lesson. Good luck with your teaching this week.